My message to the losers: losers, look in the mirror. No? Well, maybe you should. Sorry. Well, that's my feeling.
Renowned comedian and writer Bill Maher has been calling out The View for their nonsense since day one, and he's not letting up. In his latest show, he dropped a truth bomb that left them fuming. Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Maher isn't afraid to speak his mind and stand by his beliefs, just like The View claims to do. The difference? Maybe it's time they take a hard look in the mirror.
Whole show, the winners, the losers. My message to the losers: losers, look in the mirror. No? Well, maybe you should. Sorry. Well, that's my feeling. Losers, look in the mirror, okay? You know, for months, Democrats have been saying, how is this even close? And they're right, it wasn't. They could not conceive of a second Trump term, but they should have. When does America ever turn down second? I mean, come on.
Bill Maher just gave The View a run for their money. The hosts looked uneasy as they tried to take him down, but their arguments didn't land. Instead of backing down, Maher hit back with his trademark wit, leaving them scrambling. And when they pressed him about Trump's plans and the impact of millions of immigrants, his response was priceless. You won't want to miss this exchange.
Yeah, they won. Now they have reality they have to deal with. You know, we'll see what they do. See if they live up to their word. Trump says he's going to deport 12 million people. How are you going to get 12 million people back into Mexico? And today Trump said, I'm way ahead of you. Why do you think I left so many holes in the wall?
The audience response was loud and clear. Conservatives overwhelmingly praised Bill Maher for staying true to his views and refusing to back down. Frustrated with the Democrats, Maher didn't hold back, taking direct shots at other late-night hosts who once vowed to leave the country, only to joke that they'd find the Mexico border closed. But that was just the start. Maher also called out The View and other left-leaning media for dodging accountability on a key issue.
I saw Kamala was on Saturday Night Live, as the losing candidate often is. It worked so well for Hillary. Let's run that back. And it just made me think, I'm sure every single member of the Saturday Night Live cast was a Harris supporter. But what if one of them wasn't? What if one of those cast members was for Trump? Would they have felt comfortable saying so? I really don't think so. They would have had to keep it to themselves. That's not a good place for us to be. I remember when, and that happens even more on the left. And I remember when Elon Musk hosted, and this is well before he was a Trumper. This is 3 or 4 years. He was just the richest man in the world. And a number of the cast members on Saturday Night Live, they didn't want to deal with him. They didn't exactly boycott, but they made it plain. And I was thinking, really? You have Elon Musk on your show for a week. You could talk to one of the most interesting, brilliant people the world has ever produced, even about this issue that bothers you so much, that he's so rich and lots of people aren't. But no, you don't want to even deal with him. That's what I hate about the left. You're brats and you're snobs, and people don't like that.
That's the narrative they pushed. And Bill Maher wasn't having it. If you need proof, just watch how The View co-hosts fell silent after he voiced his opinion live on air. Remember, it was Sunny who first brought up the issue, but Maher flipped the argument right back on her in a way no one saw coming. The Absara moment was so shocking that the audience didn't even clap. Just pure silence.
Israel 5 times have started 5 wars since they were given that land back. They could have chosen to turn that place into any place they wanted to, and they took a lot of money that they took from the international community and they spent it on bombs and guns and building tunnels. So if they need to be destroyed, how do we do that? It's a war. I don't know how to do that, and you don't know how to do that. I assume the Israeli Of course, everybody is, but that's what happens in a war. Here's a way to stop that. Stop attacking Israel.
Just look at Whoopi and Joy. They were completely stunned, like they couldn't believe what they were hearing. But here's what they're missing. Bill Maher was making a valid point. This isn't about left or right. It's about finding the right way to stop war. If you listen closely, he calls out the administration for making things worse instead of working toward peace. And yet, they criticize Trump when he pushes for diplomacy. Now, get ready to hear Maher's take on free speech. You won't want to miss this.
Last week, Ira Glasser, former longtime head of the ACLU, talking about free speech. Whoopi Goldberg, who, by the way, I hope is still a friend, we can disagree with each other, should not be canceled or put off her show, as much as I totally disagree with her crazy statement. Free speech. She should be there. She shouldn't get a timeout.
Not every single thing has to be for everybody.
Right.
We can have platforms that have stuff on them that not everyone on that platform or who consumes stuff on that platform enjoys. And The View is a particularly weird place to do a cancellation.
It's called The View?
It's called The View. It's not called The Facts.
Yeah, but isn't it interesting that it's called, I don't think they meant this when Barbara Walters invented it a long time ago, but it's The View.
Well,
that's the problem in America.
But
there is one view,
right, and
one
that's clearly
true opinion, and everybody else can go sit in the corner.
They got it wrong, plain and simple. If anything, they should have taken a step back and listened. But here's the hard truth the left struggles to accept. They only consider their own opinions valid and push them relentlessly on shows like The View. Differences in perspective should spark debate, not be shut down. But that's not how it works there. Bill Maher didn't demand that Whoopi be sidelined. He simply pointed out where she was wrong. The difference? He welcomes discussion, they don't.
A very different opinion. And the answer is not to make them sit in a corner for 2 weeks. That is insulting. It's so insulting to make a 65-year-old, the person at ABC News said, I've asked her to take time to reflect and learn about the impact of her comments. Reflect. How insulting for someone of her age, who's a sophisticated person, and the impact of her comment. There is no impact. There aren't neo-Nazis waiting for the green light from the lady on The View to go out and do a new crystal knot.
So right. And the whole point of free speech is we don't need free speech when we're right, when everyone agrees with us. We need free speech when we're wrong. We need free speech to make mistakes. We need free speech to say really unpopular things. And one of the reasons I'm always proud to come on this show, and I suspect you feel the same way, Catherine, is this is the only space left on television where people can speak freely and not be terrified, right?
Yes.
And you have.
Have you ever seen anything like this on the View before? Not a chance. And odds are, your grandchildren won't witness a moment like this either. Just look at how the show handles anyone who dares to express an opinion that even slightly challenges their narrative. It's not about debate, it's about control.
His whole point is they didn't vote for him because of racism and misogyny. They voted for him because they felt like, I think the biggest common denominator in this election is people want a good life and ability to provide for their family.
Well,
and whether we agree or not with Donald Trump's plans,
Black people
they thought that he was reflective.
One of the poorest demographics in this country, but they voted for Kamala Harris.
But there was a split, and more of them voted for Donald Trump than had historically. I think that there's such a desire. If you really think the vast majority of this country voted because of racism and misogyny, you're missing it. Most of my family, a lot of my family doesn't have college degrees.
But the stats are the stats.
But that's not, it doesn't say I'm white, I voted for Donald Trump because of racism. That's not, let me just ask, what stat are you talking about?
You can't dissect the two.
Yes, you can. There's a lot
Hold on. Calm down, everybody.
The big interruption is happening again. But have you noticed? You're not even allowed to acknowledge a valid point if it comes from the wrong perspective. For those who missed it, this was exactly the issue Bill Maher called out. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this.